of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. It is so great to be along with you today as we go through all of the news of the day. So as we look at what's happening here, I want to go through the Minnesota killings. You've got this Vance Luther Boelter, who is basically a ghost. A lot of people don't know who this guy is. His social media accounts have basically disappeared. It appears much of it has been scrubbed. You've got roommates that are saying he's a Trump guy, but in the same breath, he's got a roommate in a tiny little house with roommates with a Papa John's driver, that he's also got a big estate. They're showing helicopter video of it, and he supposedly has a wife. So which is it? There's all of these anomalies. Now, the wife was arrested as well. She had passports, cash, ammunition. You wouldn't expect a wife to be involved with the murder of Minnesota Speaker of the House, her husband, and a Minnesota state senator, and her wife, the shooting of those two and the killing of the first two. You wouldn't expect the wife to be involved. But who knows? You've got pictures of this guy that basically is him in a Resist t-shirt, yet we're told he's a Trump supporter. Nothing adds up here. So is Vance Luther Boelter a patsy for something bigger, for the deep state, trying to pin this on President Trump? Or is he an absolute predator, a right-wing abortion, anti-abortion extremist? That's what the left would like you to believe. We'll look at all of this today as we lay it out on the program for you. Before we do that, though, folks, I want to tell you about my friends over at Colonial Metals Group. 800-458-7356. 800-458-7356 is the number to get with Colonial Metals Group. I promise you are not going to be disappointed. When we look at everything going on in the world, you've got BRICS nations trying to wage war on the American dollar. We now have war in the Middle East breaking out between Israel and Iran. The safe haven has always been gold. Gold continues to trend in the direction of up. It is a safe haven when it comes to retirement dollars, in my humble opinion. How much is right for you? You ought to talk to the folks at Colonial Metals about it. You get to them by going to freegoldguide.com. That's freegoldguide.com/Grant. freegoldguide.com/Grant. Do it today. I promise you will not regret it. All right. So as we look at all of that, with everything going on, boy, oh boy, the stream is just always a problem now. It really is. Anyway, folks, let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, welcome everybody. So, is he a patsy or is he a predator? I'm talking, of course, about Vance Luther Boelter, the man accused of killing Minnesota Speaker of the House Melissa Hartman and her husband, and shooting State Senator John Huffman and his wife. Apparently, they had a list of about 70 people they wanted to kill, mostly Democrats that we've heard of. But here's the interesting thing. We're not getting the full story. Apparently, he had a manifesto. What is in that manifesto? This is the police talking about it, and again, not getting the whole story here.
I'm going to give Ellen. We're going to give it to Ellen, and then we're going to have one more question.
Can you talk a little bit more about the manifesto and what kind of motivation it might be? We're told that there might be some pro-choice lawmakers on this manifesto. That has anything to do with the motivations here?
At this point in time, it would be premature. The question was, is the manifesto and the information that we have received, is their motivations? We are working diligently on that. There's certainly some indications within that, but there's not specifics enough. We have been, this is a very active and fluid investigation. Throughout the day, as you've been waiting, and these teams have been out working out in the field, and they have been gathering more documents and information, so it would be premature for me at this point to really say say exactly what the motivation might be from these writings, but we will be continuing to work on that and provide that information when we're able.
Do you believe him when he tells you it's premature to tell you what the motivations are? Now, you've got a manifesto. That's going to be a real big clue into exactly what the motivations are on behalf of this guy. The mainstream media has been quick to jump out in front of this as some kind of deranged Trump lunatic. But remember, this Vance Luther Boelter was appointed to some work commission by Governor Tim Walz. Now, apparently it's a nonpartisan commission, fine. But you're being appointed by a Democrat governor to something. No one could find out where his political registrations are. Then you had this bizarre reading of a text message by his alleged roommate, who looks like a Papa John's delivery driver in his Papa John's shirt, maybe dipping in a little too much to what he's been delivering. But this doesn't make sense.
Dead shortly. So I just want to let you know I love you guys both, and I wish it hadn't gone this way. I don't want to say anything more and implicate you in any way, because you guys don't know anything about this.
So he reads this text message that he got from Boelter at 6 o'clock in the morning. I believe it was yesterday, still on the run. He has been captured now. That's good news. Captured in a field, by the way, near his other house, which looks like an estate. You mean to tell me cops weren't staking out his original house? And he's captured in a field days later near the house? Again, that, folks, doesn't make sense to me. Now, when you look at the anomalies here in this case, you've got a rapid media escalation of what appears to be coordination. Within hours of Boelter's arrest and the murders, where he's known as a suspect, mainstream media outlets started pursuing this narrative almost immediately that he was a Trump guy, that he was an anti-abortionist, that it appeared to be coordinated messaging as they pushed this out. And to me, it's a sign of a higher level of influence. Now, it may come down to be exactly what it seems. A deranged lunatic who was going after Democrats. The only problem is I haven't seen Republican lunatics at Democrat functions, resist rallies, wearing Democrat garb. It's just not something I see. The digital history of Vance Luther Boelter also appears to be mysteriously missing. Usually there's a large social media presence. Now, I get he's 50, 70, he's a year older than I am. I got a large social media presence, but I do it for a living. But it's mysteriously missing. It's almost as if it's been scrubbed. Now, could the records have been cleaned? If they are, that leads you to the Patsy conclusion in all of this. There was other bizarre behavior that appears to be ignored, but that's a common theme amongst many of these lunatics, that the bizarre behavior was ignored. The roommate was interviewed again. I'm going to play some of it for you.
No, because he was on call for work, and he'd always say, yeah, I need rest for work, so I'm sharp, because he was extracting eyeballs, so got to be sharp for that.
I remember him walking out of the house, or hearing him walking out or anything.
No.
Was it unusual for him to go to bed at 7 p.m.? I mean, when you say
Well, it depends on the shift, no, because he is working all kinds of hours. Didn't seem odd, no.
Did he give you any emotional message, said that he loves you, besides the text messages or something like that that seemed off?
Well, he said that he made some choices, and he said, you guys don't know anything about it, but, yeah.
Another
So.
big ass.
But he said he didn't have much time to live.
Another big ass. Do you mind if I take a picture of the text message?
Nah,
You
I
can
kind
block out his number. I
yeah.
just
Well, the thing is, I kind of keep that private, because I read it to people, and I don't know. I just got to get going. I have to.
Is his phone still ringing when you called?
No, it's
Go straight to voicemail?
yeah, just voicemail. I can't. He won't. He doesn't want me involved.
Yeah.
So he's not going to call me. He's not going to receive calls from me.
Can we at least see the picture?
Well, everyone's taking pictures. I don't know why I'm so... He sent it to me and a friend. So it wasn't just me, and I don't know if my friend would think about me sharing that with everybody. I mean, I read it out loud just so you guys could get a context of what I feel when I read it.
Yeah.
And...
Can you read it to us? We were in here yesterday.
Yeah, I know. But I got to really get going.
Do you have a message?
You know, it's somewhat ridiculous. Now, I understand that you focus in on this guy because you need anything you can get if you're a member of the mainstream media and you're trying to cover this story. He's a player in the fact that he got a message from him. He was allegedly living with the guy. I mean, you can see, like, you read the message. Why can't you just let the media take a picture of it? To each his own, I guess, but you've already let the contents out of the bag, so it really should make a difference. But in the end, he didn't want to do that. All of this is bizarre in many respects, and as I look at this, I had made some notes here. When I look at mass casualty events, I look at the same playbook as this, right? So you've got a guy who gets framed quickly for this. He's aggressively attacked. They're going to go after gun rights things. They're going to go after MAGA voters. They're going to go after Trump supporters, suggesting that this was all a pre-planned deal. And to me, it suggests the narrative was pre-planned. Forget about the crime being pre-planned. The narrative was pre-planned. And then what happens after all this? After these mass casualty events, it all comes out. It ends up turning out it was a left-wing lunatic. After the media framed it as a right-wing lunatic, and the damage has already been done. So with that, I don't know. Here's this guy in the Congo, by the way. This is Vance Luther Boelter, the man accused of killing these lawmakers, killing one lawmaker and her husband, shooting a state senator and his wife. This is him giving a sermon in the Congo, okay?
And I'm just as excited about Jesus.
Et je suis juste excité
right
de
here,
Jésus.
right now.
Jusqu'à présent, même maintenant.
And when I get excited,
Et quand je suis excité,
I want to dance.
je veux danser.
And what Jesus did for me.
C'est que Jésus a fait pour moi.
Jesus is God.
Jésus est Dieu.
Almighty God.
C'est le Dieu
He
puissant.
saved my life.
Il a sauvé ma vie.
I'm excited about God.
Je suis excité de Dieu.
And I want to worship Him.
Et c'est pourquoi je l'adore.
Because He's coming again. And
Jésus,
he's
il revient encore.
And He's got plans. He's got plans.
De plans.
I think you're all saying, what in the world is that crazy white man doing dancing around down there? It's bizarre behavior. So again, a lot of this stuff, nothing really adds up. So I'm not going to make a judgment on whether or not he's a patsy or a predator. I'm not going to make a judgment whether or not it's deep state or just things as what they seem, a right-wing anti-abortion lunatic. I'm not going to make a judgment on that. But that's very different from the mainstream media who will instantly make a judgment. I'm going to point out to you the anomalies in all of this. And there are a lot of anomalies. Why is it when it comes to crimes like this, everything is so weird and law enforcement acts so weird and you see the cover-up start to unfold? So I would wait before you make judgment as well. And don't trust the mainstream media on any of this, folks. Do not trust them. I would offer up that they cannot be trusted. All right. Let me tell you about my friends over at get20now.com. Folks, the hottest investment there is today right now is data centers. The next hottest investment there is today is cryptocurrency. What if I told you this investment is a combination of those things? Get20now.com. The name of the website is what it is. It's 20% annualized interest paid out monthly. Depending on the deal you make, that's what you could get up to 20% annualized interest on your investment. I have made a sizable investment with a company called NFN8, which is building cryptocurrency data centers / mining centers in states where it's very favorable to buy the electricity cheap. They have technology to cool these machines in a way that they can mine the Bitcoin cheaper than anybody else. And watching them at work is literally unbelievable. Get20now.com. They've lived up to all their promises to me. I get that check direct deposited into my account every month, 20%. Now, I look at the stock market. I ain't getting 20% this year. I did last year, but not this year. I look at cryptocurrency. I don't like the wild swings, up and down, up and down, up and down. This lets me take part in that craze, but locking into an investment. No headaches either. The money just gets direct deposited every month. Get20now.com. That's get20now.com. Corey is the main guy over there. He'll call you back directly. Fill out the information request form on the website. Take his call when he calls because there's a lot of interest in this investment. As you can imagine, locking in to a terrific annualized interest like 20% is going to be popular. And so I urge you, check them out. Get20now.com. That's get20now.com. All right, what about the No Kings riots over the weekend? Was it a protest or was it a riot? I don't know. I think it was more like a riot. I mean, when you see them graffitiing buildings.
That's right. We don't take orders from the LAPD, right?
They don't take orders from the LAPD.
From the opportunists trying to take this shit.
They look like total
So
dorks.
it's not going to have any fucking impact. So you're here. We are here because we're the defiant ones. We're the ones who aren't going to...
Folks, they're outside of
We're
Hilton.
going to keep fucking fighting and stand with all those coming under attack. We're protesting. All those coming under attack for their immigration status. All those coming under attack because they don't have a fucking home to sleep in at night and are forced into the streets. Shame!
So, what is it? Is it the illegals? Is it homeless? Is it Antifa? What is it that they're upset about? They're upset about it all, apparently, because it gives them an excuse to act like dopes. They all look like dorks. They're outside of the Hilton. No one is stopping this. Imagine if you're staying at this Hilton. By the way, don't go to anywhere near downtown L.A. during all of this. But then they start to interview. And I'm telling you who the problem is. It's the white liberal women. They are the problems. They're not smart. I believe they suffer from mental illness. This interview was classic, okay? This woman did two of them. I'm going to play a couple of them for you. It starts with this.
I'm out here because I heard the Red Hats were coming. The Red Hats are coming! The Red Hats are coming! The Red Hats are coming! So I came out here to mock MAGA.
Okay, so what's the biggest issue that you're concerned about right now in America?
There are so many. My country's being destroyed. I spend a lot of time crying. They are destroying my country.
Who's they? Like who specifically?
MAGA.
All these people?
MAGA.
Do you think it's weird that there's a lot of women and like minorities out here?
Not really. I mean, because I believe that Americans are all equally vulnerable to brainwashing and equally vulnerable to the lies of a felon and a con man. I'm just really sad that there are this many Americans that there are this many Americans that they're this weak.
Yeah.
They're so angry. It's like we don't even talk about the left like they do. They talk in these platitudes. They've got nothing really direct or any direct criticisms other than they just don't like us. They don't like Trump. Trump derangement syndrome on display. She talks about feeling sorry for people brainwashed. She's the brainwashed one.
Well, you believe Trump's racist, right?
Oh, yeah.
So why would all these brown and black people be out here supporting Trump, do you think?
That's something you'd have to ask them. I don't know. I mean, it's easy for me to stand over here as a white person and say, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's using them. He hates them. I see it as being pretty embarrassing and sad, but they don't obviously see it that way. So,
yeah. What's one thing that he did to black people that shows that he's racist?
Lots of things. I mean, he's bringing back stop and frisk. He's
bringing back stop and frisk. The president of the United States can't bring back stop and frisk. That is a local police department thing. Okay, so lots of things he's doing that's racist. She's not going to be able to name anything.
God, I mean, his commentary, his words.
What did he say?
What he said when he was at that black journalist dinner. Oh my God, that was the most racist thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I can't.
What did he say?
He was asking the woman to, like, you're not being nice enough to me. I mean, it's just the way he talks down to people, and especially black women.
That's racist? Just saying, like,
he talks down to black women. Oh my gosh. It's like he was treating her like his slave. It was really awful, I thought.
You think he was treating her like his slave?
That's how it felt to me. But again, I'm just clearly to other, I don't get it. I don't get it.
She has nothing. Nothing. They literally hate America. I've come to a conclusion. All of them. So they embrace these stupid No Kings rallies because it's an ability for them just to spit on the Constitution, to spit on America, to be another apologist. It gets worse. So this woman did a great job of finding, again, white liberal women with no clue.
We don't want kings. We want to save our republic, and it's about time that we do something about it. Yeah. And this is a great opportunity since it's the anniversary of the Paul Revere's ride.
Okay.
So that's what that's about.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yes.
Yeah, so what has...
The British, right?
Yeah.
Taxation without representation.
Okay.
They got rid of laws. They got rid of juries. So
what has Trump done so far that you think he's a king?
Everything.
Name one.
Name one. Every single executive order which oversteps his powers. And he completely does not care whether it's legal or not. He's just pushing as much as he can. And he could care less, and we'll see if he obeys the courts.
What's so interesting is they can't even acknowledge that Joe Biden did the same thing with executive orders and, quote, obeying the courts. Now, I would argue this. President Trump has done more to obey the courts. He's gone out of his way to obey the courts, appeal decisions, and had many of his decisions, of these decisions, have been overturned on appeal in President Trump's favor. President Trump is abiding by the courts. Joe Biden didn't. It was the left that said ignore the courts. But now all of a sudden, I love Democrats. They're so concerned now about obeying the law and obeying the courts. And they're so concerned about budget deficits, all the things they weren't concerned about when Joe Biden was in office. They don't have policies. They only have hate.
At this point, it doesn't appear that he's going to. And a king considers themselves the higher power.
Yeah.
And that's what he is.
Yeah. You know who Michael Moore is?
Yes.
Yeah, so he recently said that we shouldn't deport undocumented immigrants because they might cure cancer or diseases. Would you agree with him?
Of course.
She is going to raise a fabulous point here, okay? One I wish I would have thought of.
You know, our country has always depended on immigrants and people new to the country. This incredible amount of wonderful, intelligent, brilliant minds that the U.S. is going to lose by this ridiculous posturing.
So first off, the wonderful, brilliant minds that the United States is going to lose because of mass deportations. Now, what Joe Biden did was import poverty and uneducated people into the United States. These were not programmers from India, okay? They were not the best and the brightest. The people that flooded America by the tens of thousands every day were uneducated, very, very poor people. Not all of them bad. Some of them very bad. Not all of them bad. I understand that. But the importation of poverty and uneducated people was very, very real. We're not losing cancer doctors and rocket scientists here. But even with that said, listen to what the interviewer does, because she turns it around on this woman brilliantly.
So that argument sounds like a great argument for why we shouldn't kill babies in abortion, right? Because one day they might, become a doctor and save lives, cure cancer.
Nope, I don't agree with you there.
No. So we shouldn't deport people because they might cure diseases, but we should kill babies even though they might cure diseases?
I completely take option that this is not killing babies. What do you mean by killing babies?
An abortion.
What do you mean by an abortion?
when an abortionist goes in and sucks out a baby that's growing in a woman's womb.
And are you one of those who thinks that life starts at the moment the sperm meets the egg?
I don't think. I know because that's what science says.
I'm a doctor, and that's not what science says. That's completely a religious belief.
So
you hear, even though she says, are you one of those that believes that life begins at conception? Even I don't talk about abortion like that. When I start arguing with a liberal about abortion, I can say I can see where you might come to a conclusion that you don't agree with me when I say life begins at conception. I understand your point that I could see how some people may not believe it is a living creature, okay, a human being. I can see their point. I don't agree with it. I believe that life begins at conception, and that is the moment that God has made a human being. But I understand they said, so what I try to do is back people down. Well, where do you believe life begins? When you start to see fingers? When a baby starts kicking? I mean, is that where, can we agree there that life is, you back them down to a point where, okay, now that you've agreed life has begun, now you're agreeing that you've also killed it at whatever point you take it out of the womb after that point. So at least we can get to an agreement someplace. This woman does not even want to see the point. Are you one of those people? Meaning that, yes, you are religious. Yes, you have a belief in God, and liberals hate that.
When does life begin?
When does life begin? Life begins. Life begins as a human being. Life begins at viability.
So how are they growing for 20 weeks before viability if they're not alive? Because dead things don't grow.
Well, there's something that is a plant's alive.
Yeah. But is a plant a human?
Well, so life is different than humans. So what you're really asking is not when life begins. You're asking when there is a definition of a human being. And the definition of a human being varies according to people's beliefs. Some people believe that it's at the moment the sperm meets the egg. Other people believe it's at quickening. Other people believe that it's at viability. So there is no scientific agreement about when human life begins.
96% of sex.
Can you imagine if viability was your definition of when human life begins? So there's nothing that's viable on its own when it's born without its parent. Nothing. So under your definition of viability, you still wouldn't be considered a human outside of the womb, because a baby can't feed itself. A baby can't get food for itself. Just as my golden retriever Goose, who's sleeping over in the corner of the studio, when he's born, he can't feed himself. He needs his mom. And so that argument of viability is absolutely insanity.
Embryologists and biologists agree that life begins at the moment of conception, so they're non-religious, non-partisan. That is
it's human life.
Human life begins at conception.
No, they don't. They don't believe.
It's a study out of the University of Chicago. It's not religious at all. It's totally secular.
No, that's not true.
Okay, so how, if I miscarry at 8 weeks, that means my baby died. Therefore, they were growing and then they stopped growing because they died. So how is it not alive if I miscarry my baby at 8 weeks?
It's not a human life.
What is it? A frog? A hamburger?
It's an embryo.
Embryo of what?
An embryo that has the potential to become a human being, but it is not.
There are dolphin embryos. I know. You guys are always done.
Well,
when the conversation,
I'm here for this.
Yeah, when the conversation gets a little bit tricky, you guys always walk away. You're a doctor and you don't know when life begins?
I do know when life.
Where did you get your degree? You need a refund.
You're not really listening to me. You've got your points that you want to make, and it's not really a dialogue. It really isn't. So I don't quite know what this is all about, but I'm here for the rally. I'm not here to, engage in this. So good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
It's the same argument my mom and dad give me. You don't want to listen when I've been listening. And then I refute. And then they tell you you're not listening. You're not hearing what I'm saying. No, I'm not hearing what you're saying because what you're saying literally makes no sense. She wouldn't even say where she's a doctor from. My guess is she's a doctor like Dr. Jill Biden, not a real medical doctor, some kind of PhD or something like that, but not a doctor. That young woman did a great job, and she did what I couldn't do. Look, I like to consider myself a strong white man. As a strong white man, she would have had none of me there talking like this. But as a black woman, it's almost a setup job for her because, she can't disagree with a black person because they're on the chart of who you're supposed to embrace just simply for the color of their skin. To me, if you're a lunatic and you're black, I'll call you out. If you're a lunatic and you're white, I'll call you out. If you're super smart and you're black, I'll applaud you. If you're super smart and you're white, I'll applaud you. Like, we get called being racist, and it's literally the exact opposite that we do what they do. The only reason she stayed talking to her as long as she did is because that woman is black, and she had to be polite to her because she's oppressed. Which I think if the young woman interviewing there would tell you she is not oppressed. Guaranteed, in fact. How about this guy? This is an interesting one.
You doing, bro? What's up, you fucking Nazi? Run, you bitch ass nigga. You're a bitch ass nigga. Look at you. That's how fucking America's about. You're a fucking Nazi. You'll fucking kill yourself.
Now, that's in Los Angeles. That's an Amazon driver. I would hope Jeff Bezos investigates immediately who this Amazon driver is that's chasing down a truck simply because they're flying a Trump flag.
You running away. Look at you running away. You ain't no fucking American. You ain't no fucking patriot. You're a fucking Nazi. You're a fucking bitch. You're a fucking bitch. You're a fucking Nazi bitch.
Now, here's the thing that's scary of why I would recommend that lunatic not ever do that. You don't know who the person is behind the wheel. Maybe the person behind the wheel is also a lunatic. And maybe the person behind the wheel is armed. And could you imagine getting shot over yelling and screaming insults at somebody? Now, I'm not saying anybody should shoot anybody over this. It'd be the worst move possible. This guy isn't worth it at all. Not even worth getting out of the car. And I'm proud of the driver. He doesn't do that. He doesn't really engage at all with this guy. But the guy chasing him around doesn't know what the threat is. And I would imagine if he's an Amazon driver, he's not armed. You don't want to be screaming things like this at people, if not for the sheer fact that you put yourself in danger, other than the sheer fact that it's un-American and flat out rude.
You're a Nazi bitch. You're a Nazi bitch. Go. You Nazi bitch. You're a Nazi bitch. Look at you run. Fucking Nazi fuck. This is California, nigga. We don't want the feds here. Fucking bitch. Nazi bitch. What? Say something.
You're hilarious, bro.
You're a little bitch, nigga. Step out your car.
You're hilarious.
You're a little bitch, you Nazi fuck. I hope you go home and eat your fucking Glock bullet. Go with your unclean, unmaintained, cheap-ass Glock you have, nigga. Fucking bum.
Good job, bro.
Go to work.
Good job,
go
bro.
Go to work. Get a job, you fucking Nazi piece of shit.
Good job, bro.
Run, nigga.
You did a good job.
This is California, you fuck. This is California, nigga. Nazi fuck. Fuck you. Nazi fuck.
He doesn't stop. Again, Trump derangement syndrome. But here's where the left has been really, really good. For them, anyway, not for us. They have painted the picture that it's innocent families being ripped apart when it's literally rapists, murderers, child molesters, fentanyl pushers, MS-13 gang members, Tren de Aragua gang members, sex traffickers, you name it. But they've painted the picture that stupid idiots like that guy believe somehow that the families are being ripped apart, and this is the big danger. I'm going to play you proof of that in a second, and then we're going to show you exactly how organized this is and who really is showing up at these rally/riots. Let's see. I'm reading comments. Sometimes I wonder. Dom888. Lord God Almighty is coming. Soon repent. Ask Christ into your heart to be born again. Depression, emptiness, and the soul of fear of death gone. True love, joy, peace, and eternal life found. KJV, John 3:16-21. All right, is he talking to me? I mean, I agree that God in your life is a good thing, but I don't know. It's just very, very strong wording right there. And I don't know if he's talking to me or if he's talking to the person that was being interviewed. Let's hope the person that was being interviewed. All right, as we move on here, folks, I want to tell you about my friends over at Energized Health. EnergizedHealth.com. This protocol has changed my life. I lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks. Now, that's a pretty strong number, okay? But you get on the Energized Health protocol, here's what I will guarantee you. You will get in shape. You will take your life back. You will lose fat. You will gain muscle mass. You will get a clearer head, and you will feel better, and you will have more energy. Guaranteed. If you don't, they'll give you your money back. They've got a 99% success rate with the Energized Health protocol. It's about getting hydrated at a cellular level. Cannot be beat. Okay, why do I say this? Because I've been through it. I've made this really virtually a way of life, the Energized Health protocol, because it's so easy. And I don't like to say anything where you're losing weight or losing fat is easy, because it does take a commitment, but it's about as easy as it gets. EnergizedHealth.com, EnergizedHealth.com. Take the masterclass on the website. Get your body hydrated at a cellular level. This is a patent-pending system that they've created over there, and it's a protocol that works. Just look at the hundreds of testimonials on the website. EnergizedHealth.com. That's EnergizedHealth.com. All right, so here is Nate Friedman. He does a great job. Young gentleman. Goes out and also interviews these lunatics that are at these No Kings rallies, the protests, and all of this thing. Now, I will say this. The guy he's interviewing with, I disagree with 100%. But at least he has the guts to have a conversation as opposed to someone who's going to sneak into the video. Let's watch this as this goes down.
There are two parties. One is a party of Nazis and fascists. The other party may not be all put together.
And Nazis, what do you mean by Nazis?
Hitler's fascists, people who want to use groups against each other, who feel that they can put one group of people in concentration camps.
Do you feel like Republicans want to kill Jews?
Yes. They want to kill Jews. They want to kill black people. They want to kill brown.
So Republicans want to kill Jews. We're the only ones defending Jews. We want to kill black and brown people, and talks about concentration camps. Where are the concentration camps in America? There are none. Are they saying that rounding up illegal aliens who came into the country illegally, most of them that were being rounded up, unless they're collateral damage, meaning they're hanging out with an MS-13 gang member murderer, everybody has committed other crimes that is being sent home. That's not a concentration camp. It's called prison or a deportation plane. Now watch this lady that comes up here.
Let's ask your credentials and what you're
my name is Nate. I just have a YouTube channel.
Nate, so we don't know what side Nate is
Let him.
I know, but
I don't care.
Just so you know, I'm with a group that is just pointing out that there are some folks here who will take words and
let
turn
them do it. I don't care.
Let's have a conversation.
See this guy? I totally disagree with everything he's saying about Republicans and Nazis and the concentration camps. But at least he's there. He full-heartedly believes the nonsense he's pushing because he's been brainwashed. And maybe he's not that smart. But at least he's willing to sit there and talk and not shut down speech.
Well, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Let them deport me. Who the fuck cares about these? These are fucking... These are cunts who have no fucking balls and they will troll. Let them troll. I don't care. I don't give a shit about trolls.
I'm giving you fair warning.
I know that. I don't give a shit about.
Who is she with? Why is she not letting you talk?
I don't care about trolls like Charlie Kirk, Fuentes, and these fucking white-ass bitches. I don't give a shit about them.
And that's who you just might be speaking to.
Let them hear it. You know what? Trolls, fuck you. I don't give a shit.
Can I ask who are you with? Can I ask who are you?
So I get a kick out of that guy. He doesn't care about trolls. So let them talk. Now, who is this woman, though? Where did she come from? She's wearing a yellow vest. She paid to wear the yellow vest. She's wearing a hat that says abortion on it, by the way. Now, This is a No Kings rally. So why is she wearing an abortion hat? And who in the freak is pro-abortion? Even the people that I know of that are pro-choice, like my sister, my mother, okay? They're liberal white women from the Northeast, and they have this set of beliefs, but they're not pro-abortion, okay? They may spew nonsense of why they'll fight for your right to get one, but they're not pro-abortion, okay? This woman, I believe, is. They love the killing of babies. Again, we get back to that because it's a common theme among the left. Who is she, though?
Who are you with?
Thank you.
Who are you with?
I'm with America.
No, but you asked me who am I with, so I'm asking you who are you with?
Well, you're acting like a reporter with a...
I am a reporter.
Yeah, okay.
You want to see my press credentials?
I want to talk.
Wait, here's my press credentials.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so who are you with?
I'm right now I'm representing myself, and I'm representing the folks at Rise and Resist who have been trained
so Rise
to
and
be
Resist.
marshals.
How much do they pay you to wear this vest?
Absolutely nothing.
Really? So I did some digging, and the woman trying to stop my interview is named Karen Shaw. She is a professional protester. I found her at almost 100 different protests. Let's look at her portfolio, shall we? Here's her outside Trump Tower saying TikTok time's up. Here's her saying ban guns, not drag. Amazing. This is her telling us that lies have consequences. She is also very passionate about abortion. Even in the video right now, she's just wearing a hat that says abortion on it. This is deranged behavior, by the way. I studied psychology in college, and I'm confident that I can diagnose this person as insane. Sometimes she gets less creative, though, and just holds a sign that says enough. Now, here I found her working with a different professional protester that I've exposed. This is Stuart Waldman. He was there when they raised the Palestinian flag over City Hall in Rhode Island.
Everyone knows you.
Everyone knows me?
You are. They know what you do.
I know what you do as well, Stuart Waldman. You are on the board of riseandresist.org, the company that is paying people like Karen for a second job as a professional protester. And the donation link to give you money is just Act Blue, which is the fundraising platform for the Democrat Party.
Now, wait a second. That's the fundraising's going straight through the Democrat Party, Act Blue. Rise and Resist is basically an Antifa group, in my opinion, or at least Antifa-like. All they want to do is sow chaos. So if you think about this woman, Karen Shaw, that he mentioned, she's at an anti-TikTok protest. She's at an anti-gun protest. She's at a Trump lies protest. She's at a pro-abortion rally. And she's at a pro-Palestine rally. That is a professional protester. Pick an issue and go with it. Now, think about what I do for a living. I go to a lot of events, but I don't go to a lot of these, well, I guess you call it a Trump rally would be a rally. But I'm not going to protests all over the country. You know how much money that would cost to fly around the country and not have a job and go to all these things? So somebody has to be paying her, in my mind. This Nate Friedman did a great job of exposing her.
That's who you are, Stuart Waldman. Now back to Karen. I found her with another professional protester that I've exposed. This was back at the Tesla protest. This is just a few photos of this other professional protester out of maybe 50 that I found. It's clearly a very well-established industry, and Rise and Resist is just the tip of the iceberg. Now here's some more about Karen. I did find her Instagram where she just documents herself vandalizing New York City. She puts these chalk signs all over the place, like this one right outside the Trump Hotel. She also likes to flip off Cybertrucks and just post that on Instagram as well. If you just scroll through her profile on Instagram, it is the best case study for reopening the asylums that you can possibly make. Now, Karen is the Associate Director of Development and Special Events at Lincoln Center Theater, which is devastating because Lincoln Center is a beautiful place that just got a little less beautiful after learning that piece of information.
Can you imagine having an Instagram account where you spew that much hate? And listen, I want all of you, go to my Instagram, Stinchfield1776. I may call out Democrats, but it's rare that I show any hatred towards them. I call them out. I may explain why I think they may be mentally ill. I may explain why I think my way is a better way. But I'm not giving the finger. I'm not burning anything. I'm not stomping on anything. There's no that amount of anger and vitriol. Now, you've got an Instagram account like that, and yet it seems like you have a decent position at Lincoln Center. a place that's open to the public, why would the bosses at Lincoln Center support this? There's no rules as to, hey, you've got to represent us in a way. I have those rules for me at Salem Media, at Real America's Voice, that if there are things that I do that are outside the bounds of being morally acceptable, that I can face consequences for that. But I agree to that, right? It's not like they just mandate it. They mandate it. I agree to it. They could mandate it. I don't agree with it, then I don't have to work there. I can go work someplace else. But who allows this from their employees? Lincoln Center does, I guess.
I asked me how much do I wear this vest. I got
I'm
it
not
at
asking
sale.
you. You seem passionate about it. I'm with you, brother.
I'm cute to all the fucking right-wing Nazis and fucking says, right?
Yeah.
Charlie Nick Fuentes.
Let me just ask you, if Republicans want to kill Jews, why is Trump so with Israel? Like, what?
Israelis and Jews are not the same people. Okay. Jews are different people, okay?
His daughter is Jewish.
His daughter is not Jewish. She's married to a Jewish man.
She converted to Judaism.
No, who gives a shit? I'm an atheist. I don't give a shit about somebody being Jewish, Hindu, Muslim, or anything like that. Who gives a shit?
A kazoo.
Okay?
She's blowing a kazoo. Do you see how childish this is? Why is she blowing the kazoo now? Because this young man, Nate Friedman, is raising some very valid points, and she doesn't want this getting out. She's going to try to ruin the interview.
What song is that?
What is it? What's your problem? Talk to me, man.
Yeah,
what's your fucking problem?
This is so
what you're trying to... Yeah.
Is it filming?
No, yeah. Film me, man.
Yeah. This is amazing. What song is that? We're going to put you on YouTube. It sounds good. You're doing this for free. You're just this passionate about it. It's a mental illness, you know. What can you do?
Sign that says right-wing troll. Why do they think trolls are someone that just literally asks legitimate questions? That, folks, is not a troll, okay? That's someone who asks legitimate questions. Someone who doesn't ask legitimate questions are people in the mainstream media, like old Margaret Brennan here.
You wrote an op-ed supporting President Trump's decision to send in federalized National Guard troops and active duty Marines to California. You referred to it as the threat from the radical left, an overwhelming show of force to end the riots, and talked about communities being terrorized. Given the amount of tension in the country right now, is that really the language to use?
Yes, when you see left-wing street militias who are throwing bricks and frozen water bottles at police officers and shooting them with fireworks, and unfortunately you have mayors and governors in some places that won't allow police to maintain order, the next step is to call in the National Guard. And if the governor won't call in the National Guard, then the president has to federalize them. We always hope that the local police are allowed to do their job and have sufficient numbers to do their job to maintain order and protect innocent life and property. But if they can't or they're not allowed to, the National Guard has to be on scene to restore civil order.
Makes sense to me. But do you hear the way she phrases the question? She phrases the question, if it's so out of control that President Trump calls in the National Guard, when literally many of these cities will not enforce the law. And yes, enforcing law is key to success in America, key to people feeling safe. Do you feel safe with a woman like this around you?
So I'm in my beautiful city, LA, and I have friends texting me like all morning. My gardener didn't show up. My housekeeper didn't show up. My farmer's market was closed. Everyone's scared. Well, this is not going to just happen in LA. And you 1%ers that only voted for Trump because of money? Guess what? You're going to have to do your own dishes or clean your own house or mow your own lawn and that wonderful produce, the organic produce you get for your brunches? All gone. Yeah, you're going to actually have to do some work around your house. These people are important.
How offensive is it that she just dubbed anybody that works in a household job is illegal? Now, I have two lovely ladies who have worked for me for, I don't know, my son's 16, for almost 16 years. Both of them, okay? Both of them are American citizens. Both of them came here legally and became an American citizen. One of them, who comes every 2 weeks to my house to help clean, she said she couldn't afford her American citizenship. I paid for it, okay? Yes, she was here legally. I paid for her to become an American citizen because I knew America would be better off with her as an American citizen because she's so great. This woman is offensive. And this is her reasoning why don't deport people? So rich people are going to have to do their own dishes? How racist is that? And what about the Americans doing those jobs? I promise you, there are American men and women doing those very jobs. What are you saying to those people? It's beneath you? These liberal people are nuts. Then you have the opposite. Then you've got the Trump supporters who literally have a sense of humor about everything. Remember, these protest riots are the No Kings protests. Well, the Trump supporters, I love them that they have a sense of humor. My buddy Ben Berkwam ran into some of them.
Make the left lose their mind right there. Dion. So while the no hang on, so while the No Kings events are going on across America.
Sure. This is tonight might be the coronation. In fact, they might be in the operation room discussing, getting rid of the generals and just let's go. Let's get the coronation tonight. Trump for king is a beautiful thing.
That's how you start the process of MAGA forever.
MAGA forever.
That's it. That's the idea, right? MAGA forever.
I love it.
I love it. I mean, shit, the guy won 3 times. That's what the trifecta is all about. Trump won trifecta, and then what do we got today? Army birthday, Flag Day, and Trump's birthday. The trifecta.
Trump for king. He is our king. He's a king that loves the Constitution, is using it to our advantage, by the way, which is exactly what the Founding Fathers wanted good leaders to do, use the Constitution to the advantage. And by the way, when you look at the Constitution, what does it do? It grants the people rights. But what the Constitution really says is it takes away rights from government. The government shall not infringe on our right to keep and bear arms, okay? Your right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Free speech. The government shall not enact any law. The government is put limits on. And yet there are certain things within the bounds of the Constitution that can be done from an executive branch that President Trump is utilizing to make America great again. And I love the fact that MAGA conservatives have a sense of humor about all of this stuff. Yes, we were able to celebrate the Army's 250th birthday, which was fabulous at that. I was very, very happy about that. It shows you the difference between us and them. They are filled with hate, and we are filled with love and pride for America. Something that they, folks, quite frankly, are not. Listen to me. If you're out and about and you're still using an old cell phone, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, I want you to switch. My service is provided by Patriot Mobile, and it is great. PatriotMobile.com/Grant, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. You can keep your phone. You can upgrade to a new phone. You can buy a new phone. You can even, on this phone, have 2 lines, 2 different networks. It's called the Patriot One plan. No other wireless provider can do this. 2 different networks, 2 phone lines. So you're always going to have great service depending on what city you go to. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT for a free first month service. Switching is so easy. You just call them up, 972-PATRIOT. They will get you switched over in just a matter of minutes. And again, Patriot Mobile is supporting the things that we believe in, as opposed to these other cell phone companies that are literally funding the left. Why do you want to give them any of your money? Here's my promise to you. You will not be upset about the coverage, about the customer service, you will love it. I promise you this. So make the switch to Patriot Mobile. I've been with them for years. My son has a Patriot Mobile service on his phone, and we all are so happy with them, and we're grateful for their commitment to this country. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Make the switch today. Call them at 972-PATRIOT. Tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. Use that promo code GRANT for free first month service, and get on board with the official wireless provider of Stinchfield's Army. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. So I was just watching. I was just literally fascinated over the weekend by these lunatics that were out and about. And then I saw Mel Gibson. Now, I'm always waiting for Mel Gibson to say something completely out of line. He's almost like a Kanye West version. Lately, he's been on point, though. He hasn't gotten out of line. But this is what he said, by the way, about the riots in L.A.
Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear they're unable to respond effectively and responsibly during calamity. Whether it's sheer incompetence or outright malevolence, the reality is stark. California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office? How much more of their destructive decision-making masquerading as leadership are we going to tolerate? It's time to take back our community and our state and put the power and the privilege in the hands of competent leaders whose goals are to protect us and the way of life this nation was founded upon and promises to offer. That's all.
What if Mel Gibson ran for governor? You know, my buddy Steve Hilton is running for governor. I think he'd do a great job out there in California, former Fox News host, and he comes on the Real America's Voice show a lot. He's great. Has policy papers out the wazoo. In fact, I think he's probably more prepared to be governor than Mel Gibson ever would be. But does Mel Gibson have the name recognition? But then I would also ask, does he have the respect to have people vote for him for governor? I don't know. I don't know if the name recognition in L.A. and in California, other California cities, would outweigh the ability to govern. Because clearly I think Steve Hilton wins on that front. But what if Mel Gibson ran for governor? Would you vote for him? Feel free to comment on that. I'd be curious to see what your thoughts are on that. Well, this is basically who we'd be running against. Karen Bass, Gavin Newsom, and all of their other Democrat cronies, because this is how they think.
If the raids hadn't happened, then that protest would have been a no kings protest. We know that that was planned months in advance. But the disruption and the fear that has been caused by the raids has really had a devastating effect and has been a body blow to our economy. I don't think the president understands that we have entire sectors of our economy that cannot function without immigrant labor.
I think you don't understand that you need to take responsibility, and your followers need to take responsibility for their actions. Stop blaming President Trump arresting criminals for more criminal activity. This is a common theme amongst Democrats. They never want to take accountability. There's no individual responsibility. It is all excuses for illegal and horrible behavior. That's all they do is make excuses. It is excuse after excuse after excuse. And I think the American people are onto them. And this is why you see President Trump's approval ratings, even through all of this, still continue to climb. Stephen Miller works for the president.
For the love of God, where are the damages for Americans? Where do I even begin? Where do I even start? We used to have a functioning public school system in this country. Then we had open borders. Now our schools are in chaos and disarray. We need hundreds of translators. Nobody's learning how to read or write. An entire generation of Americans, multiple generations, in fact, have been robbed of educational opportunities. Entire cities. Look at Los Angeles. Once a paradise of safety, security, and prosperity. Entire neighborhoods occupied and controlled by foreign gangs. Where do all the residents who've been displaced, who've been forced out of Los Angeles, where do they go to get their reparations? And then what about the victims of fentanyl poisoning brought in by Democrats' open border? hundreds of thousands of moms and dads whose kids are dead and buried in the ground? Where do they go to get their reparations from the government? And then all the women who have been raped, who've been beaten, who've been murdered, all the dads who've been shot dead and aren't home, all the police officers who've been slain by illegal aliens in ambush attacks in the line of duty, where do any of these people go? Where do any of their families go to get reparations? Or the 500,000 children that Joe Biden trafficked across the southern border and put into the hands of unvetted so-called sponsors? Do you know how many stories I could tell you of children that were trafficked across the border and raped because of the policies of Joe Biden? There aren't enough volumes that could fit into a library to calculate the carnage that has been inflicted by the Democrat Party's policy of open borders. We can spend the rest of our lives trying to document those harms. Where does our whole country go to get repaid for all of the wealth, all of the prosperity and security that has been stolen from us by decades of uncontrolled illegal mass migration? Because we all deserve reparations for what has been stolen from us. It is a tragedy that defies our ability to even describe it.
Why would I interrupt that? Let him go. I want to hear it. He's on with my buddy Rob Schmidt over at Newsmax, and Stephen Miller, spot on. So I think America gets it. Those on the left don't. Always remember, the loudest voices get the most coverage. So all these No Kings protests, the Antifa goon riots that are combined with the No Kings protests, they're the loudest voices. They're getting a lot of coverage. This does not represent most of America. I believe America is a 60-40, maybe 70-30 conservative nation. Just many of those 60 or 70 have been duped by the mainstream media, or either so lackadaisical that nothing's going to make a difference that they don't vote. That's what we have to change the heart and mind of, that you can make a difference. We did a good job of it the last time around. We're going to have to do an even better job of it next time around, because we're not going to have President Trump to rely on. Unless he gets a third term. They go crazy over that, don't they? Folks, listen up. Before I let you go, as President Trump would say, I want you to think about getting one of these emergency medical kits. This is the prescription drug kit. They're fabulous, okay? 8 very common prescription medications, including ivermectin in here. Very important you get one of these on hand. Cyber attack, natural disaster, terrorist attack, drugstores closed down. You need prescription medications. What are you going to do? Having this on hand could save a life. Just like, I'm sure many of you have ammunition. I'm sure many of you have food and water, a power supply, some kind of solar generator or a generator on hand. Do you have prescription medications? If you don't, you are not with it, okay? You are not prepared. TWC.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. And listen to me. This parasite cleanse, I think every American needs to be on one, okay? It's expensive. I will tell you that. But you're going to get like 3 of these. So you can do one and then in 6 months do it again. If you have pets, if you go out to dinner, this is why like 80 million Americans have parasites. And it can cause cancer, brain fog, all kinds of intestinal issues. It's disgusting, quite frankly. The Parasite Cleanse is great from the wellness company. Sold out 3 times. Get one. TWC.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. And lastly, I will play a little bit of this. The Dodger game on Saturday. The woman asked to sing the national anthem, doesn't sing the national anthem. She comes out and she sings the national anthem in Spanish.
It's okay. We are going to do the song in English today, so I'm not sure if that wasn't or if that wasn't relayed.
See, she shouldn't even been invited. So the Dodgers literally tell her, no, you can't do it in Spanish. You're going to have to do it in English. It's the national anthem. The national language is English, okay? So sing the national anthem in English. She defies that. And then she goes on, and this is what she says.
Bear with me, because I'm still very shooken up and emotional, and Anyways, I just got home from singing the national anthem in Spanish at the Dodgers game, and it is the official Star Spangled Banner in Spanish. You can Google it. I'll just read it to you really quick, but it was officially commissioned in 1945 by the U.S. State Department as a part of President Franklin Roosevelt's Good Neighbor policy to foster a better relationship with Latin America. Because of this, I didn't think I would be met with any sort of no, especially because we're in LA and with everything happening. And I've sang the national anthem many times in my life, but there was today out of all days. I could not. I'm sorry. Yeah, I just could not believe when she walked in and told me no.
You can't believe she said no. It's the American song of all time. It's our national anthem. And you can't believe she was going to say no, you can't sing it in Spanish? These people are so dumb. They don't have any idea what they're doing. Show pride for America. And if you want to come here legally, we're the most welcoming country in the world. The most welcoming country in the world, bar none. I will argue that point till the day I die. And I will put us up against anybody when it comes to welcoming people in a legal fashion. But she doesn't want to see that. All she wants to do is hate on America. She had no business singing the national anthem in the first place. I'm sorry to say it, but it's very, very, very true. All right, folks, that is going to do it for us. Hey, don't forget, please give me a follow if you're watching on Rumble or Facebook or Twitter. Subscribe to the channel, follow me, copy the link, share it, whatever you can do to spread the voice. It's very, very helpful. I'm so appreciative to all of you for being here. We'll see you on the Real America's Voice show tonight. 7 p.m. Eastern time, everywhere you can get streaming platforms, Roku, Pluto, etc. You can download the app on your smart TV. Real America's Voice is a great network. If you don't know it, you got to check it out. My buddy Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, John Solomon, me, so many great ones. Eric Bowling as well. All at Real America's Voice. I'll put that lineup up against any cable network out there. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. GrantStinchfield.com is my website. I appreciate you watching. Stinchfield's Army rolls. We'll see you soon.